Okay, cool. So, just quickly, since we are doing so many polls today, are there any Mallus in the gang, in the group? Yes, I can see. So so just giving some background on us Malayalis. So this is a small indigenous group in India, which is at the bottom of the Indian peninsula. It's a small state, but you will find a Mallu in any group. We don't stay in the state much. We are all over the place, and Mallus happen to everybody. So, so I'm part of one of those Mallu people, and I want to share a very big secret that we kind of have in our community. So, why do we end up outside our state? It's a pretty nice state to be. So what happens is, till 12th standard, everybody's happy. We all study in Kerala. But after 12th standard, all the cool Mallus, they leave to Bangalore, right? All the not so cool Mallus, they leave to Coimbatore, right? And the really unfortunate ones, they get stuck in Kerala. So I was part of one of those unfortunate Mallus who, despite, every Mallu dreams of finishing 12th and going somewhere else, and my dream was crushed by whatever reasons. My parents basically did not think I was mature enough to do that. So I kind of started my college days in a very rebellious mode. I was like, you know what, I'm going to ensure my parents regret every day that they made me stay in Kerala, right? So that's how the whole college life started, and on a good note, I must say. So, and one of the best ways to actually, get your parents into trouble is not going to college. So what happens is, so the idea was, I will ensure my dad will go to college more than I do. So, but then you need reasons. You need valid reasons to not go to college, because otherwise they kick you out and there are procedures. So I used to take any possible reason to not go to college. So any valid reason that if I tell people, they shouldn't be like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. So one of such excuses that I found was, one of my friends got into a really prestigious college in Pune. He, as a ideal Mallu, left the state. So we wanted to celebrate. So we said, you know what, we're tired of doing the regular stuff. Problem with partying in Kerala, especially after 12th standard, is that you meet the same people everywhere. So kind of tired of that. So we thought we'll do something better. We'll for once in our life, we'll do something good. We'll visit an orphanage and we'll spend some time with the children there. So I was like, nobody's going to blame me for doing that instead of going to college. That works. So that is how, first time in my life when I was 18 and a half, I visited an orphanage. I expected it to be a pretty sad place, kids who don't have parents, who have no hope in life. I thought, you know what, it's going to be a sad experience, but it's better than college anyway. So went there, spent some time on the ground. I was pleasantly surprised by a lot of things. But the thing that I was most surprised by was that those kids looked up to me. You know, it's a very rare experience being a young person in India, if you ask me, to be looked up to. Nobody really expects much from young people in India, if you really think about it. When was the last time your parents called you at the dining table and said, you know what, we are planning to sell this family property. What is your opinion about it? No, they don't ask us such questions. It's good. In a way, it's good because nobody really expects much. The only expectation is don't screw up. Please, don't screw up. Just go to college, study, pass. We all know you'll get a job. Everything will be okay. Now, for the first time in my life, I had somebody looking up to me. And they were looking up to me as if I was somebody I was not. They were looking up to me as a successful young person, as a responsible young person. And I was like, whoa, that is a difficult thing to stand up to. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I wanted to kind of live up to the expectation. So I started cursing a lot less when I was them. And I started putting up a little appearance of, for the first time I started talking about how it's important to have to study hard and get a good job. It's very important. And by the end of it, I was feeling great. It was a good experience for me. And I thought the kids enjoyed it too. But so I thought, you know what? I'm feeling good. I got to do something about this. So I'm going to come again next week. What do you want? And I was hoping jalebi, laddu, all those fun stuff that you guys would probably wish with an eyelash. That's what I would have done. But they said, we want books. And that did kind of unnerve me to some extent because an average Malayali student, if studying in 5th standard, the last thing he would wish for is a book. So that is doable. Can I do some, let me go back. And I had another friend with me. He also got very emotional about it. He's like, dude, he's asking for books. We have so many books. We have to give books. There's no way we can't do this, right? So we're like, so next day he dumped a lot of books at my place. I got the books too. And I went there the next week. We started something called the Royal Library. I have like serious trust issues with adults. So what kind of happened is I knew that the shelter authorities won't give the books to them. So I kind of started a small library saying, you know what? You guys have to ensure that the books are distributed and you are the librarian. It's up to you. And I also put a what if clause. I said, I'm going to come next week and see if you guys are reading the books. If not, I'm going to take them back. So I don't know. I thought it made sense back then. So I went the next week and I saw that there were 25 kids in my class and there were 24 book reviews kept on my table. And that's when I knew that I'm going to spend a lot more time with these kids. And I started doing that. I started spending almost all my weekends, any free time that I have, I used to go back and just hang out with them. It was a lot of fun. I used to, back then Abdul Kalam was the president and the whole trip was dream big and anything is possible. And we used to do book reviews, we used to read books in class. It was good, it was fun. But it was just one of these days where, so what happens is that children in orphanages, they're so used to these outsiders coming. They're very friendly, they have a lot of fun with you, everything is cool. But they don't really let you into their lives. It takes some time. They do, they're not really open to you in the first time. But they kind of realize after 6 months that this guy is here to stay. We need to kind of start communicating. So I started kind of really understanding what their lives are like when I started eating food with them. And in one of these days where I was sitting next to this kid and he asked, and he was hoping, he was saying, oh God, I really hope the chili chicken is not over. So I was like, what is that all about? Because, food, you will get food is coming. So he's like, no. So what happens is that when you have a party somewhere or, you have a wedding or something like that, food will be left over. So what you'll do is, what I'm going to do? I'm going to sponsor the food in an orphanage. So whatever is left over, they will get. So if the chili chicken is left over, the kids will get it. If not, tough luck, right? And frankly, there's nothing wrong with it. It's probably better utilization of resources to many. But when I was sitting with them in the dining hall, sitting with those kids, what I saw was that the emotional impact, the psychological impact something like this has on these children. If you think about it, we are treating our children like second-class citizens. If you have food left over for a party, you will never go to your neighbor who you hardly know and say, you know what, this is left over, you can have it. You wouldn't do that. I mean, you have some old clothes, especially if they are torn, you won't give it to your lesser-known cousin saying, you know what, they don't fit me anymore, you can have it. We won't do it because somewhere inside we know that's not the right thing to do, right? But for some reason, we feel great when we do this to a child in an orphanage. Why is it that? And imagine what the child is going through. We're bringing up an entire generation of young people who think that they're only good enough for the second hand. They're only good enough for what has been already used. And they know that when they grow up, they're going to become the plumbers and the drivers and not the engineers and the doctors. This really affected me. And the final straw happened when one of the kids that I really thought is going to reach places. See, the thing about these kids is this, right? Which is that they have the kind of experiences that they have in their lives, we will never have them in our lives. They have had much greater experience in their lives. And I'm a person who believes that experiences make you who you are. So if that is the case, these kids need to be ruling the world. But unfortunately, I learned it the hard way when one of the kids that I had the most hope in stopped studying after 10th standard because he felt that he will not be able to continue study after 10th because till 10th he was studying for other people till the age of 15, he studies in vernacular medium schools. But after 12, 15 years of age, suddenly the syllabus shifts to English. Imagine that happening to you. Till 10th standard, till 15 years of age, you're studying in English, and after 15, sorry, now it's Japanese. Deal with it or drop out. That's literally so I kind of had the feeling that the whole system was created in such a way that it is meant, it'll be a crazy miracle if these kids actually manage to get out of the vicious cycle, actually manage to get out of the center. And so that's how we started MAD. And literally, we were mad at adults at that point of time. So we put up these posters everywhere. It said, the adults have screwed up. It's up to us now, right? And it went viral. Honestly, it went viral. And close to 2 years from then, what happened was, by no way, I know for a fact it is not because I'm an inspirational speaker that MAD spread from 1 city to 23 cities across the country. That MAD started helping children from 1 orphanage to 80 orphanages across the country. It is just one thing, which is that young people were tired of the stuff that was going around. Young people were tired of being told that you cannot do anything about it. Your job right now is to study. The time that you need to, the time to make a difference is not now. There is nothing you can do about it. Or the most that you can do about it is go and vote. It is annoying. I mean, for me, I'm somebody who gets extremely frustrated when somebody gets extremely proud about the fact that they have voted. I'm like, yes, once in 5 years, you go and press a button and you think you're an active citizen. That's not the case. That's not the situation. So, in MAD, we believe that a society should be judged by the way it treats its most vulnerable. Now, who are the most vulnerable in our society? For us, the most vulnerable are those children who are no longer safe in their own homes. Imagine being that. I mean, something happens to us, we have a home to go back to. Imagine not being able to be safe in your own home. Now, these are the children who are in the streets begging today. These are children in labor camps working today. These are children who are trafficked for sex purposes. These are children who are being abused in their own homes. These are the most vulnerable children. They're going through problems which that has nothing to do with what about them. And unfortunately, the conversations that's going on in India is about what do we do about these children? What is the solution for these children is not really fully holistic. Think about it, right? One big debate that goes on, especially after Slumdog Millionaire has come to India, is that when you see a child in the street begging, should you pay them money or not? That is, wherever I go, there are constantly people complaining about it. I mean, there are two sides. There's very strong arguments about what is the right thing to do. Is it to pay the child any money or not to pay? Because the problem is, if you pay him, that's going to go into some ringmaster. While if you don't pay him, he's gonna get beaten by that ringmaster. So that's the first poll, right? What would you do? And don't do this half-hearted. I know there are a lot of others like, I would give them fruit juice and stuff like that. You get the idea, right? The idea is, what do you do when a child comes to you? Do you support him immediately or you ignore him? Because ignoring has its advantages too, right? So let's start the poll. Your time starts now. Okay, can we have the results? Don't give him money. Good answer. Wow, cool. So now, beautiful. So I think I'm the first person. I think I'm the first person in the audience today who did not get the answer that they expected. So it's good. So I would say this is the wrong answer. You know why? Think about it. What is going to happen? So you don't give the child money, and he's going to go back to his ringleader, And the ringleader is like, you know what? This is not a lucrative business anymore. People are not paying children money anymore. Let's send them back to their families. Is that what is going to happen? What will happen? I mean, the only thing that's going to happen, the most probable thing that's going to happen when you don't pay them money is that they're going to be pushed into doing things that's more criminal than just begging. Why is it that children are being trafficked? Because there are laws in India which prohibits children from harsh terms under the age of 18. So even if an Indian child kills someone and if he's under the age of 18, he cannot be in the jail for more than a year. While if you're a man, 1 year, 19 years of age, you can be in it for the rest of your life. So there is a very high chance by us not paying the child is going to have a much worse future than paying the child. Now the question is, but am I here to propagate, please give money to children in shelter home, children in streets? No. What I'm trying to say here is that there is a third option, and we're not talking about it. The only way a child from the street can really be saved is if we can provide him a positive developmental ecosystem. A place where he feels safe, a place where he can grow up, and after the age of 18, flourish on his own. And that's not back in his own family, because it's not out of bad luck that he's in the street. He's not treated well in his home. That's the reason he's in the street in the first place. And this is what in MAD we talk about as a safety net. Every country has a safety net. Safety net for children who fall through the crack. The safety net basically ensures how bad can it be for a child who falls through the crack. Is it going to be just like in developed countries, the worst case scenario is you'll be in a foster home where you'll still have two parents who will be taking care of you, but you have some emotional issues because of this. While in India, it is much different. One of the researches that actually happened about shelter homes in India termed their entire book The Hellholes of India. The sad thing is, the safety net in India is broken today. In most orphanages, the chances of a child going back to the street after being in an orphanage in India is much higher than in any other situation. So I had to once do this rescue mission where we were rescuing children from the streets, from parents who were making them beg and take them to a shelter home. I thought it was a fairly easy process. But the moment when I was snatching that child from the mom's hand, I was not sure anymore whether he's going to be safer in the street with his mother or in a shelter home where he's got no support system at all. Now, why is it that things are so bad in a shelter home in the first place? That's the next most important. Because think about it, right? They have food in shelter homes. There's no dearth of food in shelter home. They have clothes. They all go to school. So then, what is the big deal in the first place? So, to answer that question, I want to do a quick thought experiment. Think about it. Just think about it for a second. You don't need to give your answer out, but think about the one person in your life who's probably the reason you're here today. Who's influenced you the most? The person from whom you have got your values, the person who told you that anything is possible, the person who inspired you, and the person because of whom you are here today. Just think who that person is. Who is your role model in life? Right? Have you all thought about it? Cool. So let's have the second poll, which is, who are these people? Is it A, your parents? B, your friends and your close family, somebody who was actually living along with you? Or 3, great people, the real role models that we talk about, Mahatma Gandhi or Mother Teresa, somebody like that. Your time starts now. Cool. And the results are good. Parents, good. Good job. This is fine. That's the right answer. So, idea is simple, right? I mean, even though we say that the role models are all these people that we read about, at the end of the day, we are heavily influenced by the parents in our lives, right? And that's the one thing children in shelter homes don't have. And people forget that. People think that it's bad genes, the reason children in shelter homes drop out. 95% of the children in a shelter home will quit studies before 12th standard, which is before the age of 18. And it's not because of bad genes. It's just that there was no one there with them on a one-on-one basis. Think about it. We had 2 adults to take care of one child, our father and our mother. And trust me, they do not have a very easy time with just one child. Well, if you think about the child in an orphanage, it is one adult for every 50 children. Imagine the amount of safe space the child is getting. Imagine the amount of personal attention the child is getting. Imagine the amount of inspiration or confidence the child is getting in this situation. It's not possible. And that is a fundamental difference from a child in a shelter home and a regular child. Now the question is, how do we solve this problem? The good news is, we have a solution. Solution is pretty straightforward. Every child needs to have at least 1 or 2 role models. That's as simple as that. But unfortunately, the government cannot mandate something like this. Government cannot say from now on, every child shall have 2 people who will take care of him and genuinely care for him. That's not possible. But there is another solution on the other side, which is every orphanage of 200 children has got at least 20,000 people living around it. If we can activate just 3 to 4% of that community, every child in that community will have these mentors who will care for them for the rest of their lives, who will be a support system just like our parents have been for us. And our parents do not get any specialized training for providing a support system, and you will be able to do the same thing for your one child too. So that's the big solution that MAD has. Today, we have managed to create 80 such communities across the country where the community themselves take care of these children, and we have 2,000 such young people who spend 5 hours every week for the whole year working with these children and then supporting them thereafter. So, to kind of end the whole conversation, what I feel is that it's high time we change the way we look at social change. It's not the responsibility of the government. It's not the responsibility of the politicians. It's not the responsibility of the corporates. The real responsibility of changing the world around you is yours. It's the communities. And if you look at change anywhere, change has always been ushered by young people. Let it be the Arab Springs movement, let it be the hippie movement, let it be the civil rights movement. If there's ever been a change out there, it has been led by a generation of young people. So this is what people say, right? People say that what is more powerful than 1,000 army? It is an idea whose time has come. Well, in MAD, we believe what is more powerful than 1,000 armies is a generation whose time has come. And that's our generation. And we're going to change the world this time. Thank you.